Welcome to this past paper on Anglo Saxons. This one we're going to be describing one feature of the role of the Saxon Witan. Okay, so whenever we look at these describe one feature questions, we always start with thinking about what feature can we talk about the Witan, and then what supporting facts can we give that goes into a little bit more detail about that, okay? That's how we're going to get the 2 marks. Alright, so what could you include in an answer about the Saxon Witan? Well, let's revise it a little bit before we go in and choose what we're going to do. So we know that the Witan was a really important group of advisors, high lords and clergy, that had an important role in advising the reigning king on issues. So you could make that one of your points. You could say that they had an advisory role. You could also talk about their role in appointing the king himself. Let's have a look at the first one. So we know that in the advising role that they had, they often advised the king about potential threats from foreign powers and also from threats inside the country as well. Now remember that the king didn't have to actually do what the Witan says. They were just an advisory body, but they also talked about religious matters, and you remember that's important because the clergy were on the Witan as well. And of course they advised about land disputes, but of course the only person that could decide the eventual outcome was the king himself. So you could talk about their advisory role. You could also go and talk about the role as appointing the king. And we know that there were important lords and clergy in the Witan, and they often had a deciding vote on who they would choose as their new king. So it was often very beneficial for any prospective king to have worked his way in there with them and gained popularity with them to secure their vote for him. And we saw that with people like Harold Godwinson. When he becomes king, we know he marries into the Mercian royal family. He marries Edith of Mercia, who's related to Morcar. So that was his way of padding the votes in his favour. So which one are you going to choose? You've got 2 options there. Witan is a massively important body. What I would say now is pick one, write your feature. I've already boldened the feature where you could then select any of the sub points and give a supporting fact as well. Pause and write it now in about 4 to 5 minutes. Alright then, so I've chosen to go with the advising the king option. I think that's a nice clean one and we can get a clear feature there and we can support it. So let's have a look. I said one feature of the role of the Saxon Witan was that it advised the reigning king on important matters of state. For example, and here's my supporting facts, they would discuss the possible threats from within and without the kingdom, matters of religious importance, and the potential land disputes and their solution. There we are, that's it. That's all you need to do. We've got 2 marks for that one. I could also add in, if I wanted to, that the king doesn't actually have to listen to them, but that's not needed because we've just basically got, let's have a look, we've got a nice simple feature, which is here, and then we've just followed it up with a little bit of factual detail as a supporting statement, and that's all you need to do. So I hope you got on really well, and I hope that you follow that kind of model and give yourself a thumbs up if you got it right.